Hello again, it's Pete here, and today we are looking at a brand new dye from Stacey Park's seasonal collection. Now, you know what a force of nature Stacey is, and she will be showing you some incredible things to do with these dyes and all the wonderful products that she uses with them. But I'm just taking one dye today. I love a brief like this, where I take one dye and I see how much I can make with it. And this set, you might look at it and say, but it's just a card front. What do we do with it? Check some of this out. We will be telling you the techniques that I've used. We will be doing a make, showing you how to get the best out of it. So let's get right into it. So here it is, the star of the show, no pun intended, or maybe it was. But it comprises 5 different elements. So you have your season's greetings. There's the little star from the center. This one you can use to create a frame around the central piece, and this is the exciting part. And again, as I said, you may look at that. It's super pretty. It's really nice, but you might not think that it is that versatile. And you know what? Versatility equals value for money in my book. And this one has a lot of mileage. I've only just scratched the surface. So let's take a closer look at some of the makes, and then we'll get into actually making something with this wonderful dye. Now, the first one I want to show you is there. How about that? Now, you wouldn't think necessarily that that came from here, but what I did is I cut the dark one, attached it to an inked rectangle, and then die cut it with a circle and simply offset it. Same thing, slightly different vibe. So here we've got blues, we've got lilacs, we've got purples, and the gold on the top. That opulent gold really sets it off. And you see we've got the season's greeting in there as well. Now, this is the one we're going to make today, and this is made with some of Stacey's wonderful triangle dyes. Well, actually, triangles, Christmas tree, could be either. That's the beauty of it. It's a basic shape. It can be whatever you want it to be. Now, this one, how about this? Now, you might think that this piece here was actually, it was left over. It was left over from something else I did. I simply attached it to acetate and put it onto the card. And here is a kind of a cousin. Same vibe going on, this time just cutting out a white card using an acetate center. And finally, how about this? Well, not finally, actually, because we've got a couple more to go. But here, what I've done is I've actually overlapped a couple of those to create that sort of an Art Deco feel. And I've used a different font there. I can't even remember where this alphabet's from, but it seemed to suit the vibe. Then one more. This time we've cut it into a panel. So we haven't used the whole thing. And you probably know this is the full size, obviously. So you can trim it down. You can cut it into a panel. You could cut that with a triangle or a circle or whatever shape you have to hand. And then finally, another one. So this is a cousin of this one here, except we work with silver rather than rose gold opulence. And we're going to be talking about the opulence in a little while and showing you some other wonderful techniques. But let's get into the make. This is my dye, and this is from the Opulent cardstock. This is the charcoal gray collection. Wonderful, wonderful collection. Quite unusual, actually. So I'm going to die cut this. And I bring my machine and wind this through. I'm going to place it face down. Now you'll notice here that I put the die face up with a complex die like this. It is paramount that we do it face up. You get a much better cut, and there is quite a lot of detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through 2 or 3 times. And you know what? I don't mind that. You know, you can have, we've talked about this before, you can have too much pressure. And too much pressure in your machines, it puts stress on the cogs, it puts stress on the rollers, all the components, but it also makes the die cut very deeply into your cutting mats. And when that happens, it reduces their effective life. So by having a machine with just the right pressure, it preserves your cutting mats and they will live to fight another day. Now, at this point, hey, if you want to get your die brush and so on and so forth, you can do that. If you want to get your die pick to take all these little pieces out Again, that's just fine. But all we'll do, we'll just knock those out like that. There it is. It's probably more effective if I show it against a white piece of card. Isn't that gorgeous? Just by itself. And the reason I use this, it has a slightly pearlescent sheen. So it's not exactly black. It's a very dark grey, but because of that pearlescence, it looks like the leading in a stained glass window. And that is the vibe that I'm going for. That's exactly it. So let's talk about where we're going to go with this next. I'll just put these to one side because things are starting to look messy. And we don't like mess, do we, Steve? Steve behind the camera today, by the way. As always. There we are. Now, how about this? This is, now I inked that, I use Distress inks, and I've used some of Stacey's wonderful inks. By all means, please check those out. Whatever inks that you like to use, that's entirely up to you. But I'm going to place that over the top, like so. And then we're going to cut into it. So let me get my triangles. So this is one triangle, and there are some wonderful embossing elements with this set. It's called Patty's Perfect Triangles. I don't know who Patty is. You're going to need to ask my good friend Stacey about that. But there's a story there, I'm sure. Because what we're going to do now, we're going to cut this down to size, and I'm simply going to place the triangle over it like that. Now, if you want to, at this point, take some maker's tape to hold this in position, by all means, please do. I'm just going to pop it. I'm going to trust to luck with this. It's always best to do that when you've got a camera pointed at you, I find. There we are. But I'm going to center it there or thereabouts. Now, you can move this up and down however you want. You can use a smaller triangle, larger triangle. It's entirely up to you. Depends what look you're going for. So we'll make our sandwich, get our machine out. Now we're using a very simple die. So this time I'm going against what I said before. I'm actually cutting face down with the die, but it doesn't matter because it's a very simple die with not much detail. So I know that I'm going to get perfect results with one pass through the machine. And there we are. There is our lovely tree. And what I want to do now is I want to place it on there because I want to try and replicate the look and feel of this black line artwork. So I'm going to attach that to this with some glue. And there we are. That's now down in place. I shall take my steel ruler and I want to make sure you can see. I want to get quite close, but I'm doing it all by eye. If you feel the need to measure, by all means, please do. There is no right or wrong here, folks. It's whatever floats your boat. So there we are. There's the second cut, and then finally, we'll make the third. And that just comes to a point there. So there's my tree. And you see, because I put those lines on the outside, when we put this against the white card, that will really pay dividends. Now, I'm going to get another piece. This is some card which I inked up, and this is going to cut my little star, which is going to go on the top of the tree. So again, one more time. And this time, again, we can cut face down. Very simple die. There it is, and that will pop out beautifully. Forgot my die pick. There we are. There's our star. Now, we're going to pop that. Remember our original die cut. This came with a grey star of its own, and we're going to place this on top of that, and they're going to mat together. And this is going to echo the effect of the dark around our tree. So just a little bit of PVA, double-sided tape, whatever you prefer. I'm going to pop that in place thus. And because we use the glue, we can slide this around until we get it exactly where and how we want it. So there are my die cuts, ready to go, place onto the front of the card. And to do that, what I always like to do, to add a little bit of dimension, I'm going to take some of my Sizzix foam tape, pop a little bit on there. And that's why I like this foam tape, is because I love the little squares, But with this, you can cut it to whatever size you want. If you want a long, thin strip, if you want to flood the back, if you have something quite big to attach, then you have that flexibility with the foam tape. So then I'll just take my craft knife, peel the back off there, and we're ready to go. Now, that, my friends, is pretty much that. You can see that I've die cut the phrase Season's Greetings. These dies, of course, they come with the set. And I've cut it from the same sort of card. So now we can really see the difference having this edge on that makes. And finally, let's take our gorgeous little star. We can pop it there, or we could pop it like that. And there we have it, all done. Perfect. Now, there are a few more techniques that I want to talk about, actually, because what we've done some paper piecing. These are absolutely stunning, but there's quite a bit of work that goes into there. We use the same technique where we cut the black outer. That's like the leading and the stained glass, if you will. And then I inked up a bunch of other sheets. So if I take this one here, you'll see that we had this one, this very pale green, this lovely fresh green, and finally that purple. And by taking different elements out of these, we were able to put this together to create that stained glass effect. But you know what? This is not waste. You can make another 4. You can just move the elements around. So we've got 4 cards here just from that one. Similarly, with this one, if I just take those off to one side, this was made from just 3 colors: a medium, a light, and a dark blue. And there we are. And of course, obviously, the star in the center. Now, another thing that you can do is you can ink a background going from yellow in the center, whatever color you prefer, from yellow in the center all the way out to dark around the edges. That's another way of doing that. Now, talked about opulence, and we love our opulent cardstock here at Sizzix, and you can see why. Something like this, oh my word. Now this one's the silver opulent set, and each set has 5 different surfaces. So you get your glitter card, you get your matte, you get your brushed, you get your mirror, and you also get your pearlized. Yes, I couldn't remember what it was for a second. So that's the silver. That is the gold. And this is the rose gold. But they really come into their own when you put them together. Now, how about this? And you probably think, well, how did you get that texture, Pete? Well, this is where our good friend Stacey comes in, because this is one of Stacey's embossing folders in her seasonal collection, and it is called Shine Bright. So, and it gives you a lovely sort of starburst, goes from the center like that. When I did this, the piece that was left over, and we say there's no leftovers with these, the piece that was left over, it kind of looked like it had rivets on it. It was sort of industrial. So there you go, that's the leftovers. Then next, I took it and I applied acrylics to give it that kind of rusty look, and finally some luster wax just over the top to pick out those faux rivets. And there we have it. Stacey Park Cosmopolitan Christmas Star Bright, all part of Stacey's wonderful seasonal collection. Now, if you want to go to see more about Stacey's collection, there will be umpteen videos. I'm sure that Stacey will be introducing it herself, and she can tell you more about this than I ever could, how everything works together, what wonderful products work with these great dies, embossing folders, stencils, and rubber stamps. So I've had a lot of fun with this, and I think you'll agree it is a hugely versatile die just by itself. So thank you for joining me today. I've been Pete, and I'll see you again soon.